As a licensed psychologist, I really want to stress the point that BetterHelp is not therapy. They also describe themselves as not being therapy. They cannot give you a diagnosis. They have a high turnover rate for therapists. Their business model is predatory. They've made some improvements, but in general, they're predatory and they prioritize money over client success. I know that there are some individuals who have had good experiences with BetterHelp clients and therapists, but generally, the overwhelming feedback that I get, that I've seen on message boards, like all over, right? You can look at videos on YouTube about how BetterHelp is a scam. I don't think they're scam, but I think they engage in scammy behavior. And when people like Dr. Tracy Marks makes videos about them and endorsing them without really critiquing the problems in them, I am concerned. I am concerned because I am here to help and to heal people. And I just want to share some other options for you instead of going to BetterHelp. So I'm breaking these down into need and access. If you are currently in crisis, right, BetterHelp is not a good option for you. What I want you to do instead is to Google the crisis number in your area. They vary by state to state. The suicide hotline number is the same. I'll put it up on the screen here. This across, it's a national line. You can text, you can call if you are in crisis, right? You're on the edge, you're teetering, you feel overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, you're thinking of self-harm. Call the crisis line, call the suicide hotline. I think that's your first best option. They are going to help calm you down, give you some options, talk about coping skills, and then you can start looking for long-term therapy. So if you do not have a lot of money, right? Therapy is sort of like a luxury. I hate that it's like a luxury because I feel like your mental health is a basic necessity. But because we live in America and the way the healthcare system is, operating, it is hard to access. And then it's definitely hard to access a Black therapist, Black woman therapist, Black man therapist. If you don't have access to funds, right, because you might have a high deductible, there's all these insurance things. If you don't have insurance, if you have high deductible insurance, what I want you to do is to look for community mental health centers. They typically have high turnover rates too, but not as high as BetterHelp. You are probably going to see therapists there a year, 2 years, 3 years before they start leaving. Most therapists do not leave after 3 months or 6 months, and they typically have a contract where they are required to stay. So it's more incentive for them to stay. But community mental health centers have sliding scales, right? Like therapists in private practice also have sliding scales, but community mental health like to make their therapy accessible to more people. Similarly, typically, master's level therapists have lower fees than doctoral level therapists, right? I'm a psychologist. I, right out of school, can charge a higher rate. That's not to say that there are not master's level therapists who aren't charging as much or more than me, right? There's also therapists who don't accept insurance. Those are not really the people you're looking for. You are looking for a specific person, and I fully believe you will find the person who is there for you. You just have to find a good match, right? I don't complain about what other people are charging. They find their people. I charge what's right for me, and you are looking for someone who's charging what you can afford. So find a master's level clinician, because they typically have lower fees, and then you're looking for someone who has a sliding scale rate. So it's typically income based so that it's more affordable for you, right? So this is if you don't have insurance or if you have a high deductible, right? Because then you'll have to pay out of pocket until you meet your deductible. If you are one of those people who has insurance, congratulations, you are among most Americans have health insurance, right? Most Americans work a W-2, 9-to-5 sort of job and have access to health insurance that their employer pays part of. You might not have the best insurance, but it really opens up the avenues for you because health insurance companies negotiate contracted rates. And so I think it's more affordable. Like you have an insurance company that's saying, okay, your therapist is charging $200, $300. We are willing to pay $150. You have a copay or you have to meet this deductible of X amount of dollars, right? It makes therapy more accessible. I also think the directories, right? The directories, even if you don't have a lot of insurance, the directories are very, very helpful, right? So I used Sondermine. I'm a therapist who has gone to therapy, right? And so my first therapist, I think she was master's level. I don't remember what she was. But my second therapist was master's level, right? I call her my healer. She was master's level, so I fully believe in the quality of work that people do, because I know some psychologists who are terrible, right? I know some people with PhDs who are terrible at what they do. So it's not really about that. But you're looking for directories. Insurance directories are typically outdated and have old information. There's a new law that was passed, I think last year, 2021, that's making it a requirement for therapists to update regularly their contact information. If they change jobs, they have to remove that so that people are not contacting them at their old position. Nevertheless, there is a lack. I don't believe in the lack, but there is, if we're just looking at numbers, there are more people looking for therapy from Black therapists than there are Black therapists who are able, right? A full caseload for a therapist is about 30 people, right? I think that's too much. I think that's too much, but that's a full caseload. So one therapist at any given week can see 30 people and have a good enough work-life balance. 30 people, right? There are thousands, millions of people looking for therapists. So keep that in mind when you don't hear back from therapists, especially if you live in a big metro area, because people are busy. I felt that kind of way when I didn't hear back from therapists, but I have an understanding now. I don't want you to take it personal. I want you to really vet therapists. You're going to be sending out emails and probably sending voicemails to multiple therapists before you find the right one. So therapy directories that I recommend, Psychology Today is kind of sketchy. The business part of them is kind of sketchy, but people like me are on there and really interested in helping people. So Psychology Today is really a great resource. It's one of the oldest therapy directories. I highly, highly recommend therapy for Black girls because there's something special about a place that's curated for Black women, by Black women, to help Black women. And so I've got a lot of clients from there who are very interested, invested in therapy. I think there are also lots of therapists who are on there who are very, very invested and wanting to grow their private practices to be helpful to people. I think there's also a platform called Therapy for Black Men. I'm not familiar with it, but I am familiar with Therapy Den. So you can look in all of those places to find a therapist that's a good fit for you. The last point I want to stress is that therapy is really about commitment. It's about the therapeutic alliance. Research shows that most of the work in therapy is done after a strong therapeutic alliance has been accounted for. The issue with Betterhelp is that there's so many people in and out. They're not matching you with the best therapist, and you need to find the right match for you. You need to find someone who understands your experience without you having to over-explain. You need to find someone you can trust to share your authentic experience. That is where the change happens. You have to show up as your authentic self. You have to be vulnerable in therapy, right? You are bearing your soul to a clinician. And so it's very, very important that you find someone who is the best match for you. And so I don't want you to go on BetterHelp. I don't want you to go on BetterHelp. Not that it hasn't worked for some people, but I don't want you to go on there. I really want you to look at these different resources to find someone who is a really, really good match for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like, share, subscribe, share this video with someone you think it may help, because I am here to help. And thank you for watching.